Hi guys, in this video we are going to listen to the most interesting question asked in the Concall of Asian Paint and what is the answer by the management for the particular question. Now, those who are watching this channel for the first time, we have a significant investment in Asian Paint. In fact, we maintain a portfolio that we completely share openly, and if you have not checked our portfolio update, there are a lot of portfolio update that we have actually put. Whenever there are some transaction, we actually put it openly in the public. So if you are interested and if you want to see a portfolio, how exactly that has been built and how is it performing over the time, you can consider subscribing to our channel. Now, before we start the con call, let me be very clear. Asian Paint is the largest allocation, as you can see over here. This is the largest allocation that we have in Asian Paint. And in Asian Paint, the reason that we are having the highest allocation is very simple. India is one of the largest and fastest growing economy in the world. And in this economy, it is very important to find out the company which is going to grow more than economy. Do it is last 10 years, if you check the GDP data and if you check the sales growth of Asian Paint, you will see that there are a certain multiplier is there. Asian Paint is a GDP multiplier of India. What does it mean? That means if India is growing, let's say X percentage every year, GDP is growing, that means Asian Paint will grow more than GDP, or the target that the management itself gives is it will grow from 1.1.5x of GDP. So that is the growth of Asian Paint. So as you can understand, as the India growth story continue, the larger and very obvious beneficiary is going to be Asian Paint. Now you may ask, like, there are a lot of companies which is going to grow. Growth for the sake of growth is not the best quality of the growth. The best way to think of growth is when the growth is happening and the profitability is also maintaining. And in this case, when we are checking the profitability, it's just not the EPS growth that we should be checking. We should be checking on ROCE growth or return on capital employed. So we have discussed about the capital employed. We have discussed about ROIC. We have made a complete video what is ROIC, why we like this company, because it's C is higher and ROIC is very higher, and the growth prospect that for longer term is also very good. So that is a reason, that's a very simple reason that we have invested in Asian Paint, and the position is growing. So right now we are almost in 70% gain, and so we would like to see and wait and see how the things actually develop. So now let's get into the con call.
Sure. My second question is on waterproofing. You have become number one in the retail waterproofing. So I want to understand, when you had entered this space, say 6-7 years back, that time what was the construct of the industry? So who were the key players? What have you done different? And who would have lost market share, if you could clarify there? Second is, when I see the B2B, obviously Pidilite is the big daddy there. So now that you have cracked the retail part, would you go now B2B also in a significant manner over the next 5 years? And Pidilite has now entered paints, interior paints. So would you see that as a big long-term competition? And is it a bigger competition than Grasim from a structural point of view? Because Grasim currently is not present in most of the adjacency.
I like the way you ask multiple questions in one question.
That's a good punch.
But I think when we look at from the point of view of waterproofing, we started this initiative about 7 years back, and we started from literally scratch, and we developed indigenous technology in terms of looking at developing this business very, very strongly. In retail, the larger players which were there in the market was Roff, Sika, Fosroc and Pidilite to that extent. And over a period of time, what we see, it's not about just the share in terms of what we have gained from them. It's about we have really enlarged the overall market by reaching out to more homes, making the awareness of waterproofing very, very strong. And the whole waterproofing area has been a boon for us, because earlier the complaints on paint was related to the paint to that extent, but now what is very clearly happening is that we are able to take care of the dampness and the leakages because of the waterproofing coming in. And therefore what we see is that we have really exploded the retail market and left the existing players far behind in retail, because they were just servicing the demand. and they were not doing anything in terms of inflating the demand to that extent. And therefore, we think that we are now far, far ahead of any other player in the retail market for sure to that extent. And that has also given credence because of our very, very strong distribution footprint in terms of what we have used very, very effectively in terms of really reaching out waterproofing to every small town in the country to that extent.
See, this part is very interesting because here they are explaining how Asian Paint has created this space. Created this space, that doesn't mean that they started it. Pidilite started this part, probably through some unorganized sector also it could be created. But after that, the way Asian Paint has developed the market, because the awareness was not there about the waterproofing segment. So Asian Paint has gone to the very rural area and where there is completely no awareness, and then they have created this awareness through which the customer is now cognizant that they can use it. So where there was no market, Asian Paint has created that market, and based on that they are growing. So initially when they started, the market size, it was smaller, so they have grown. Just not only they have grown taking the market share of the other competitor, they have created the market, and then they have actually grown over this segment. So this is very important. This is a signature of a great company, those who can create their space and then can dominate in the space.
That's one. And our prowess in retail is more than any other brand because they operate through a distributor structure. We operate directly with the retailers, and therefore we are able to kind of really teach our retailers to kind of do much more business in a very strong manner. As far as projects is concerned, I want to tell you that we are almost the number 3 player in projects as well, because there are very different set of players in terms of projects which are dealing. There are some multinationals there in terms of what is there to that extent overall. But I would say that we are now a very significant player in projects as well to that extent. As I said, we are entered admixtures, we have entered the repair range, we have entered the membranes range, and today we offer every other products. There are almost about 200 products which we are offering in the waterproofing category, which are technical products in the projects regime. And I would say that it is another matter of 2 years we would become tops in the project sales market as well. So that's the overall waterproofing answer. The second area is with respect to Pidilite's entry in terms of the overall paint market. As I see it, overall, while they were in some segments of the paint, some of the exterior segments in terms of what they were present in wood finishes as form of Eka and so on and so forth. I think this is a more range completion exercise which I see from them coming in. The products are at a very, very price economy level to that extent. There is nothing outstanding about the products which kind of come in, and what we feel is that it's just a range completion which is happening where they want to touch the market much before others do in terms of the new players coming into that extent. Actually, we don't see any threat happening there at all to that extent, because that segment is something which possibly is we are entrenched very, very strongly, and we don't see any disruption coming in that to that extent. So we feel that possibly they might disrupt some of the unorganized sector which is there to that extent, because the price parity in terms of what they're offering is at a very low level, and they want to utilize their distribution structure to kind of really reach out to some of the dealers who would ask for paint coming into that extent. I don't see it's a very significant kind of initiative which could kind of really ruffle the paint market anyways.
Thank you.